Godzilla Minus One, which is a very interesting, it's an interesting film, but also that's an interesting title.
Yeah, so directed by Takashi Yamazaki. This is apparently the 37th movie in the Godzilla franchise. I have to say, I went into this not knowing very much about it. It's produced by Toho Studios. We've spoken before about Shiro Honda's original, the 1954 Godzilla, which when the BFI issued the DVD of the original Godzilla before it was kind of Americanized, it was a real revelation because you suddenly saw the film as it was originally intended, which it's got very dark, solid themes to it. Anyway, so this plays out in the wake of World War II, a guilty kamikaze pilot, Shishima, who encounters the titular giant lizard in the end of the war. He is seeking redemption because he has survivor's guilt that he hasn't been able to do what he was meant to do. And he's trying to face up to his demons in the wake of the fall of Japan during the war by developing a nuclear family after Tokyo has been destroyed and the nation is at its lowest point. And apparently the title -1, and I had to look this up because symbolizes Japan's lowest point after the war. And the idea is that it's, you're at 0 and then the arrival of the destructive force takes you to -1. So the film debuted at #1 in the Japanese box office and has gone on to prove a resounding hit around the world. And it's kind of easy to see why. It gets the balance between drama and spectacle and proper content right. It has substance as well as all the other stuff. I think we have a trailer. Do you want to have a look?
Mm-hmm.
なんで俺たちこんなところに呼ばれたんですか?
政府はこの情報を国民に伏せています。
誰かが貧乏口引かなきゃなんねんだよ。
みんな死んだぞ。
この恥知らず。
その怪物は許しちゃくれない。
ゴジラ-1.
And the trailer actually shows you the beast.
Yeah, but here's the thing. I think that the thing about getting the balance right between the spectacle and the substance is a really difficult thing. So the central story about kamikaze pilot with survivor's guilt, taking responsibility for a child and then dealing with issues of grief and shame and betrayal, that's really important. The rivalries and the camaraderies between the key characters have got just the right amount of melodrama that you become very emotionally engaged in them. There's a story about people pulling together in the face of a kind of existential threat. And it's not to do with, relying on government agencies. It's about people doing the thing that they need to do in order to get redemption. And like the original Godzilla, as opposed to the US version, it's a story that features a giant lizard rather than a giant lizard in search of a story, which I think is one of the things that's happened with a lot of Godzilla movies. You saw just in that clip, the thing has scale. It has real heft and weight. When you see Godzilla, when Godzilla appears, you do get that sense of, this is what you should get from kaiju movies anyway. It's like, it's huge and kind of incomprehensible and sort of like a personification of destruction in a way that it's more than the sum of its parts. You get a real sense of awe, real sense of wonder, real sense of jeopardy. There is a great score by Naoko Sato, who the score's kind of got this weird thing that sometimes it's very subtle and it sort of groans and almost like the sound of the earth howling, and at other times it's getting into the emotional substance of the characters. So you've got proper story, proper characters, proper arc, proper big monster stuff, and the film feels like it's absolutely in the tradition of the original Godzilla, not kind of what Godzilla. There have been great Godzillas since. Shin Godzilla was very good, but it feels like getting it back to the essence of the original story. And I was genuinely surprised by how good it was. And just the other day, I was with Kim Newman, and I said, "Did you see Godzilla -1?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "It's great, isn't it?" And he went, "Yeah." And it's really properly good Godzilla movie. And again, Who knew?
And a kaiju movie is defined as
Giant monsters. So, Pacific Rim or something, So
that's
yeah.
kaiju.
Yeah.
Relevant here. Eric Hurst in Sacramento.
Oh, we have emails.
California. Simon Mark,
Okay.
I caught Godzilla -1 at a matinee last Saturday, and I came out lost for words. I thought I was in for a fun kaiju movie, hence my question.
Yeah.
But what I got instead was a heartfelt, loving, masterfully crafted piece of cinema that takes the modern monster movie genre, tears holes in the side of it, stomps it into little pieces, and then shoots a heat ray through it. It was absolutely sublime from start to finish.
Can I just say the heat ray sequences are astonishing.
I brought a friend of mine who I knew was a huge fan of Godzilla, but had become bitter towards the franchise thanks to the American film, starting with the 1998 piece starring Matthew Broderick, Godzilla Lost in New York.
Awful.
The first thing she commented on was how refreshing it was that the movie simply acknowledged that the original film exists, something that has seemed unimportant to the American films. This movie has a clear appreciation of the original film, not just through the music, but also its themes that Godzilla is all about: war, nuclear weapons, civilian casualties, nature, industry, and of course people. It is a refreshing take on the Godzilla story.
I'm so delighted to hear this. This is great.
I'm telling everyone I know to go and see it in theatres, not just because it's one of the best movies to watch in theatres I've seen all year, but it's simply one of the best movies I've seen all year. Happy holidays to you both.
There we go.
Thank you, Eric Hurst.
Fantastic. I'm really, really chuffed about that because it's such a surprise that it's as good as it is.
Yes, fortunately you weren't lost for words, but it sounds like you went in expecting one thing and you came out.
I went in
same
not
as Eric
knowing
Hurst.
what to expect at all, and having no sort of pre-setup beforehand, and then just like 10 minutes in, you go, like you and Wonka, do I need another Godzilla movie? Really? Oh, yes, I do. And it's, as I said, and if anyone gets the chance, do get that. There's still the BFI DVD, it's probably a Blu-ray now, of the original Godzilla, because that film in its original form is a genuine, proper standalone masterpiece. And there's a great documentary on it as well about all the fallout of the nuclear testing and the what's it called, the fishing ship, which was was it Lucky Dragon number 9, in which they brought back the radioactive fish. So anyway, it's great.
It sounds like if you have a jaded palate, somewhat, then this is
this is a refresher.
Yeah, so that if you hear, I mean, we should bear this in mind for next year. If you hear there's another one of this particular type of movies, or of whatever genre, you go, do we really need that? Well, who knows? The answer might be yes, depending on what they've done with it.
It should be a new category. Do we really need that? Yes.
Hello, esteemed podcast listeners. Simon Mayo.
And Mark Kermode here.
Very excited to let you know that the new season of The Crown and The Crown, the official podcast, to accompany the 6th and final season of Netflix epic royal drama series.
This is very exciting, particularly because super sub and friend of the show, Edith Bowman, is hosting this one.
Indeed, Edith will take you behind the scenes, dive into conversation with the talented cast and crew, from writer and creator Peter Morgan to The Crown's Queen Elizabeth, Imelda Staunton.
Other guests on the new series include The Crown's research team, the directors, executive producer Suzanne Mackey, and specialists such as voice coach William Conacher and props master Owen Harrison. Cast members including Jonathan Pryce, Salim Dor, Khalid Abdallah, Dominic West, and Elizabeth Debicki.
You can also catch up with the story so far by searching The Crown, the official podcast, wherever you get your podcasts.
Subscribe now and get the new series of The Crown, the official podcast.
Available wherever you get your podcasts.
As he's just said.
I have said it a couple of times.
Mentioned it before.